Even though I speak, my teaching is 100% internal. It's a deepening, an immersion, and also an outpouring from the depths. It's bliss. It's the language of bliss, which is the language of the heart. Real spirituality is nothing but the language of the innate joy and rapture and consciousness that exists within. And my teaching is entirely about that. It's about sharing that. It's about transmitting that, radiating it. So the best way to approach my teaching is on the basis of your own experience. It's by acknowledging that we have a relationship in consciousness, not just with this physical form, but in that terrain where consciousness begins to speak its own language. Once you have the initial taste of this inner arena of bliss, of your own self, then it's nothing other than a gradual deepening of that experience. Your experience unfolding from within itself and teaching you. My words might describe exactly what is happening in that experience. And in that way, you can receive verification and confirmation that your experience is in fact blossoming from within itself. At the same time, it is never a forced event. It is not trying to circumscribe your experience around my words. Fit your experience into what I'm describing. If anything, the experience should be deeper than the words. You may even find that in its purity, that bliss is so overwhelming that the words, even the spiritual words, have no resonance. They have no connection. So you are going to map this journey on your own. There's no outer authority to hold you to it. It's about loosening all the chains of authoritarian fixation that your mind has created and begin to trust and fall into your experience that will activate this process. And it will stay activated once you bring your devotional love into it. Once it becomes a matter of you enjoying and relishing and meditating upon what you gain experientially. So your own experience therefore becomes a spontaneous self-meditation. That's what this truth is all about. That's what truth in the spiritual sense is all about. It's about knowing who you are. know who you are, then you'll do the right thing. There's only one thing to do that's right, and that's know who you are. If you don't know who you are, and you are meticulously following all these spiritual practices and spiritual disciplines, you're just sharpening the razor of your ignorance. Reading all these scriptures, immersing your mind in all of this spiritual and religious terminology, quoting passages, knowing themes, all that will pile up in you as so much garbage. So the nectar is within. The nectar, the primacy of the bliss consciousness is inside. And when you get that, your life will become scriptural. You will begin to understand that from which all scriptures were generated. Maybe not all of them, maybe a few of them, generated from that real purity. If the scripture doesn't say it's all within, it's not valid scripture. So as you progress on this path, you begin to develop tremendous confidence in yourself. You begin to rely solely on what you know directly. Your consciousness begins to speak to you, not with words or instructions or quotations from some holy book. It begins to speak to you about the knowledge of your own soul. Whether you are actually beginning to rest in the most primal condition of your being. So there will definitely be a 180-degree shift in your life when you really begin to get this. You will not be object-based, you will be subject-based. You will be based on your own subjective internality. That's where you recognize the flow of truth. That's where you learn all about yourself. Certainly books can play a part in bringing you to the point of maturation where you begin to understand that you must look within. And they may give you valuable pieces of information along the way, no doubt. But when this process becomes mature, there's definitely a breaking point away from that kind of dependency. You begin to understand that your own mind and heart, your wisdom mind and wisdom heart are instructing you directly. So you therefore at that point have forfeited your object-based mind, your attention-based mind, and now you are beginning to surrender into your wisdom mind, your heart mind. And it's the degree of that surrender that determines your level of awakeness, the maturity of your awakeness. It's just how pure and absolute that becomes. And the first person to know about that is you, that it's spoken directly from yourself to yourself, about how deeply and purely you have come to know who you are.